Hello guys and welcome back to my channel. And in this tutorial, I'm going to show you how to export your blocks to a local file on your computer and also how to import them into your tool palette so that they can be accessed very easily when you're drawing your drawing. So without further ado guys, let us get into this video. Welcome back guys. So before you begin, it is a good idea to go into your Windows and make a couple of folders in your computer, like beds, for instance, doors, furnitures, others. It would be also to make a folder named palettes and of course windows. Of course, you can, if you have more stuff that you want to add, you can add, but these are just mine for now. Now, after you had made your folders, then you can go into your blocks. These blocks I got from cadblocks.net, and they have a lot of blocks, a lot of shared blocks from people who just upload their files to cadblock.net. You can also download a couple blocks there too, so you don't have to make them yourself. So when you have your drawing from cadblock.net or whatever other website you choose to download your blocks from, or you can make your own blocks, of course, is up to you. Then you would go, these are already blocks. Of course, if they were not blocked, you would have to make this into a block first. But these are already made into blocks. Now, you would just have to type W block and then press OK. Now, this block already has a good name. It is called 36-inch exterior door number 2. Of course, is the second one. And then right here by file name and path, you would have to locate where you want to save your block. So these are the folders that are already made, and just go and sort them according to your folder. So this one you have to choose, of course, a block. This is the block name. And then I will prefer millimeters. You can do inches if you like, but I mostly draw in millimeters. So I want it to be scaled to millimeters and not inches. And then I just press OK. Then this block will go straight into my folder. So here you can see an example that this is the block. Here is a very vague illustration of the drawing, but this is basically it. So you would do this, of course, for how much blocks as you want. Here it is number 3. So you can do it for as many blocks as you want, or you can just do everything. But for now, I'll keep it to 3. Now I'll show you a next example. And this example, I have a car. And this car has many views: the front view, side view, back view, and top view. So unlike the doors that only had one view, this one has a couple views. And this block, unlike the door, don't have a proper name. So I do not want it to be named this way, because then whenever I'm going to look for these blocks, I cannot find it, because this name I won't memorize it. So you have to give these blocks a normal, or a how to say it, a good name, a logical name, so that you can remember. So this one, instead of renaming all your blocks within my drawing, I would just export them straight to a block name. So let us go. My blocks that I am going to save for my cars are in other, and this one was the top view. So I will call it top 2. So meaning car number 2, top view. And I will just press save. And also for the side view, as you can see here, it is called this, but I do not want it to be called something that I will not remember. So my side view, car number 2, save. And my front view, car number 2, save. Okay. And last but not least, my back view. So car back, number 2, save. Of course, you can name it however you like. The idea is just not to keep the name that the block is originally if it have these strange kind of names. This is just a name generated by AutoCAD itself. Unlike the doors that already had a name, someone took the time to name the blocks a logical name so that you wouldn't have to do it. You can also decide if you do not want to export and you just want to rename it within your drawing. You can also rename it, but then you would have to memorize what is a block name itself. So this one ends with D1271. So if I just type rename, then I would have to look for D1271, and this one will be called name car front number 3, and click OK. So now if I select the block and go into my properties, as you can see, the name is renamed. You can also do it this way if you want to keep all your blocks in one drawing and not export it, but it is very handy if you do export it, and I will show you why later, further on in this video. So that is how then you export your blocks, as I showed you. W block, and then you locate the folder where you want to save your block into, or you can export it and rename it on the spot. So meaning at the time that you're exporting it, you rename it automatically. So in one time. So like here you can see my cars. If I go into my blocks, others folder, my cars are named according to what I wanted it to be and not what AutoCAD generated for me. And that is how you could do that. And you can also decide to keep your blocks within your drawing and just rename it in your drawing. But I won't recommend the last one because then working with your palette will be kind of tricky. So now that is how we export our blocks to an external location in your computer. So now after you have exported your blocks within your computer, the next step is to prepare your tool palettes. Now your tool palette is this right here. You just go into view and you click on tool palette, and then this right here will pop up. Maybe your will be on a different side because this you can undock. Let me see, undock it, and then you can move it wherever you want, but mine is always on this side. Now if you click on tool palettes, most likely you will have a lot of preset tool palettes from AutoCAD. But in my case, I deleted all of them. The only thing, the last one will not be able to be deleted because it just needs something in there. You cannot have anything. The tool palette cannot be completely empty. It needs something to begin with. So the last tool palette will be still, you will not be able to delete it. So then in your tool palettes, you just right click and then you go into customize palette. Now in my customized palette, here you would have, if you just started with your tool palette, you would have a whole list of palettes that you would have preset within AutoCAD. All you would have to do, you can go through them and see if you want to keep them, or you can just delete the ones you do not want to keep. But in this tutorial, we're gonna make a couple palettes for the blocks we just exported to our local file. So the next palette I want to make is cars. And I also want to make a palette for tables or diner set. Diner. No, actually I'm going to make one for furnitures. No, actually no. I'm going to do diners. And then I'm going to do doors. And also, let's see, I'm going to do windows. What else do I have? I have sofas. And I also have, let's see, what else do I have? Tables, diners, cars, door, and beds. Okay, for now we will just keep it to this, but you can add more if you like. But for now, for this tutorial, I will show you how to do these for now. Now that I've had a couple of palettes within my tool palette, just by right clicking, by the way, sorry, right click and then you click on new palette. So now these are the palettes that we just made. Now to put your palettes in your, let's say in your tool palette, what you would have to do is open your, where your blocks are located. So here we have beds. That's why, guys, believe me, that's why it is very important to organize correctly. So here you can see in my documents, I have a folder and it's named blocks. And then I have my subfolders with beds. And this is very important to do this good before you even export your, actually, it doesn't really matter if you export after or before you make your folders, but before you even import it into your tool palette, it has to be in a correct location you want it to be, because the tool palette will refer the link back to your local, or it will have the path on your local computer. So after you import it in your tool palette, it will just search for that block where last you imported it from. So let's say you decide later on that you want to rename your folder, or you want to move it to a different location, let's say on your desktop, that won't be a good idea. Why? Because what will happen is it will it won't find the blocks anymore, and you would have to do this over again. And it's kind of not so nice work if you have to do it over and over again every time you open your drawings. Then it won't make much sense to even have a tool pattern anymore. You might just well insert your blocks one by one. So with that said, make sure your folder is where you want it to be, and you're not going to change it. um, I'm not going to say ever, but you won't change it so easily. So now go into your folder and let's start with the beds. These are my double bed 1, 2, 3, 4, and my single bed 1 and 2. So here in your tool palette, you can see it is on the tab. No, let's put it on the tab beds. Yes. So then you just drag your beds and you drop it into your tool palette. And it will generate an image for your beds, and it will also generate a path. So if you go on top of beds and go on properties, as you can see, the name is dub bed, but you can also change it if you want it to be double bed. Here, double bed 1, and here you can put your own description. um, let's just say this is an example of let's say with 2 bed with 2, or number 2, 2 side tables. And as I said, this is a location where my block or my source file is coming from. That is why it's very important you do not move your file or rename it later on. And here you can also preset your layers that you want it to be under. So in this case, let's see, the layer, let's just keep it use current layer. It's okay like this. Or if you follow my tutorial or before my other tutorials, and you have a template and you have your layers that you would like to use. Let's see if I have a couple layers here that I would like to use. Let's see, foundation, fixed furnitures, and I think I have one loose furniture. Yes, I do. So since my other drawing does not have any let's see if I could. Well, I know what the problem is now. So it's kind of strange because I cannot select. Oh yeah, I can. Sorry. So since I now open a drawing that has a couple layer, what will the tool palette, the AutoCAD will do is whatever drawing you're using or have active at the moment, the tool palette will recognize those layers you have within your drawing. So in properties, you can now go into your properties from your block and you can preset the layer that you want it to be in whenever you're importing your blocks into your drawing. So if I choose this one, and of course I will have to do for the rest also the same, just do properties for everything, and then it will be easier to just put all of them into one layer. So this is loose furniture layer. So that was one. And then we have also our cars. Let's see in others, cars, select all, and just drag it on to my tool palette. So here we have our cars and we have our car backs. I kind of regret renaming the cars like this because then you have not the cars together that I want it to be. So actually it would have to be car one back, car two back, so that it will sort it according to the name. So let's just delete these and let's rename it. So let us just put the number in front. This is number 2. This is number 1, 2. As you can see, it is sorting automatically. So my car 1, sides, front, back, top, and side are all together. Let me see if I did this correctly. 2, 2, 2, 2, 2. This one is not correct. This one has to be a 2. So here you can see, and also you can delete the one to the back because it's not necessary anymore. It is car 1 and 2, and then all of the side, the views that you have within your block, in your block assembly or your block drawing that you want to export it from. So these are sorted how I want it to be, and then you can just import it again. Okay. So now you can see it is in alphabetical order and in number order. So car 1 back, car 1 front, car 1 side, car 1 top. And of course the same for this one. Now here this one does not have an image. Now why it does not have an image is because most likely the view is kind of too dark. So you can either browse for an image yourself and just put your own image here by just clicking on browse. So instead of having the image that AutoCAD will generate for you, you can also just put your own image. But that's very straightforward, so I won't show how to do that because that would just be you making an image what you like and then just setting it to this block. Then we have our diners, and let's see. I think I have this in loose furnitures, and this is my diner sets. And then you have my diner sets with 2 chairs, 3 chairs, 4 chairs, 5 chairs, and 6 chairs. And then you have diner 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So these are my diners. Nicely done. And we have also our doors. And you can specify as exterior doors or inside doors if you like, but I just keep it to doors in this example. So here I have my doors. Nice. I love to see a preview because then I don't always have to look at the text. I can just look at the preview and I will know exactly which one I need. What else do I need? My windows. I do not have any blocks for windows right now, but it would be the same thing as the rest. And let's see my sofas. I think I do have some sofas. Yes, I have some sofas here. And you just do the same for it. It takes a while. The more blocks you import, the longer it will take to generate, especially if you're working with 3D blocks. So after you have all your tool palette filled in categories, preferably, because then you would be able to find them easily and be able to work very quickly. The next step is to then click on customize, and here we have our the same tool palettes from here we have here again. So let's make some groups. And what groups are is you can group your tool palettes according to what, so according to a group. So let us say here you have our loose furnitures. And then you have our fixed furnitures. And we have our, let's say, openings. That is our doors and our windows. And you have our others groups, meaning cars and those kind of stuff that, yeah, you can either, if you want to name it outside, or yeah, vehicles if you like to sort them by cars itself. But these are general groups. So what I will do here is diners, beds and diners, and also sofa are loose furnitures. So then I would add it to my loose furnitures groups, and your diner, and also my sofas. The same I would do for my fixed furnitures. I realize I don't have any fixed furnitures right now, but there are fixed furnitures like your kitchen, your cabinets, your toilets, your face basins in the bathroom. So those kind of stuff, your shower, you can put on the fixed furnitures. Then I have here my openings, which are my doors and my windows. So here we have doors and windows. And last but not least, we have our cars. Of course, I have two platter which are way longer than these, but for this tutorial, we won't make it too long. I just giving you an example so you can just take your time and do the rest. So then after you have made your groups here, you can see that here the groups are already made for you. So here we can see our tool palettes. Let's see, customize. Where is it called? Beds. Very strange. This is just AutoCAD with some type of glitch because it's not supposed to call bed. Let's see where that is coming from. No, it's not coming from here. So you can see it's kind of like a glitch. So here are your groups. So you just right click on top of this part right here, this gray part. And then here you can sort by group. You can also choose all and then everything will just appear again, or you can just sort by group so that you will be like, if you're busy with your building itself, then you put on a group of opening because you will be using these a lot. Then after you finish with a building and you do your fixed furnitures. Why here we don't see our fixed furnitures group? That is because remember our fixed furnitures was empty. We didn't have any tool palettes to fit within our fixed furnitures group. But as soon as you have a tool palette that has your fixed furnitures, you can then add it to here and it will appear on the list. I will do as an example, let's say sofas. It's kind of fixed. You don't move them around that much. So here you can see fixed furnitures and it will be sofas. Even though right now sofas is in two different groups, which is our loose furnitures and our fixed furnitures. That doesn't matter. You can sort tool palettes in different groups and it will be okay. It will still link it to the same location for both of the blocks. So let us see these. let me see our openings, our doors. I would like to select all of these. And of course, the same as we did with our beds, I want to look here. You can do exterior doors, but you won't be able to see that within here. That is why it's better. Actually, it's already the name, so that will be redundant right now. And here we have our openings. So you click OK. Now that you have finished your tool palette, the next step will be to export them. And exporting your tool palette is very handy so that you have a copy. So that, let's say, you something happened with your tool palette or you have a new AutoCAD, these won't be here. So what you can do is export them to like the folder I call palettes. As you can see, I did beds already, and you can save this one. I replaced mine because it already exists. And then you can do the same thing for the rest within your tool palette and just press save and also export. And what these are is actually the images that AutoCAD generated for the blocks. It also has the images within here because the tool palette needs to have the images somewhere to be imported from when you're importing these tool palettes into a new palette. So as you can see, I did my exporting. Last but not least, for this example, we just saved that one. So now let us go into our folder, and here in palettes, you see these are your or my tool palettes. Just these are the palettes itself, the palettes. And here you can see the images that AutoCAD generated for the dark and the light images. So the reason why this one is not generated properly, I can see, is because this one is white on white. And why it did generate a white black background instead of a black background like it did with the rest, believe me, I would like to know myself. But that is just some things what just happened. So all you can do is just open it maybe. Let us open it, see what it looks like. As you can see, it's very small even. Let's see. It is very small. And all you can do here, if you want, you can edit it however you like. Or you can just try and recreate your own. And then, like how I said, you just change the image by hand for the blocks that did not was not able to be imported correctly, the images that was not being able to import it correctly. So that was the last step. And of course, last but not least, importing your tool palette. So after you have exported your tool palette, the other thing is to import your tool palette. So to be able to do this, first of all, you're gonna have to go back into your customize tool palette. And here you have to delete, well, in my case, because it already exists, you cannot double it. So it will be easier just to delete it. Let's say sofas, delete. Yes, I want to delete it. And it will delete it also from my group. And what I can do is I can just right click and go into imports and just go into sofas. And here you have it. My sofas are back. And then all you have to do now is just, let's say in my loose furniture, sofas, click close, and here you can see my groups, loose furnitures, there's my sofa. So then when you're drawing, let's say you open a new drawing, let's open a new drawing without a template. So let's click on new. I did it that way because remember I have set my template or my AutoCAD to automatically open when I pressed on this new. So instead of it opening my template, I want it to open without no template. So you can see exactly what I'm talking about. So metric without no template. And here you can see my blocks are still here because this is my tool palettes. That's why it's very handy. So you can open multiple drawing. You will still be able to access your blocks. So let us just import this one as an example and zoom out, of course. And here you can see I was able to import my blocks. This one too. Oh, that's why it's not visible. It's super small. So just make sure that the scales coincide with all the blocks the same. As you can see, this one is super small. That was not the idea. I don't even know why it did it. Let's see why. Well, that is just something you can change yourself. In my case, that block was kind of like a failure. I'm sorry, not a failure, but just it didn't turn out good. But you can just rescale this if you like. Just click it and then rescale it to the size you want it to be. And of course, you can redo that if you like. Make sure it is correct. Why it did it, I don't know exactly, because if I go to my beds block, where are you? No, I do not have my beds block open. Let us go into my downloads and then beds. And it was this one. Why is it so mini small? I guess I scaled it already. Oh, that's understandable. So the reason why it was so small is because I already scaled it by 1,000. It is already scaled here by 1,000. So when you're making a block, it will scale back everything back to one instead of what you did. So the best advice I would give guys in this situation, when you have a block that is already scaled within your drawing and you already made your blocks and inserted them into your tool palette, the best thing you can do is delete that tool palette. Actually, delete that block from your tool palette. Import, do it correctly. So then you would have to copy that block and then explode it and then scale it. Let me see. Is it only make sure doesn't has any more blocks within a block, so it is just lines and circles. Then you go and you find your base point. So your base point is basically about right here. Then you can scale it to whatever size you like. I will just scale my own again by 1,000. Let me see. No, actually this is good already. This one was scaled by 1,000, but since I exploded it, it retained the size that it was when it was 1,000. So, sorry guys, undo. Yes, this base point is correct. And just type W block again. And in this case, it's not a block, so I don't have it as a block. I have it as objects, my base point. And then you will browse to your bed. Let's see, beds. Is a double bed 2? Save. And it will ask you to replace it. Yes, I want to replace it. So now since I have made a new block of this object right here, so then I will insert that block to see where it's at, to see if it imports correctly. As you can see, it imports correctly. Now is the correct size. So then if I paste it, you can see it's 1 on 1. So what you can do here is delete this one from your tool palette and then go into your blocks one more time. Bed 2, import it. It's still not visible, but that is no problem. What you can do is now then you would have to again export your tool palette again, and of course um, save it under the same name as bed, and then it will of course replace the existing one to make sure it selects the correct block one more time. It is kind of tedious, but take the time to do this correctly. Don't get caught up in my what I just fall for, that this block was already resized to 1000. So that is a tip. Make sure all your blocks are the same size for real and not just scaled hand by hand, which is actually very easy to fall for. I'm guessing this one is also resized, as you can see, and this one was the fourth one, also resized. Only the single bed 1 and 2 was not resized, I guess. That one was also resized. So just make sure that before you make your drawings to make sure everything is one size, because these are blocks imported from a website. So I guess this person just resized it instead of actually make it a correct size as I did. So exploding a block and remaking a block on the correct size, the real size. So, guys, that was all for now. I showed you how to export your blocks, import your blocks, add them to your tool palette, make your tool palette, make your tool palettes group, and of course, how to add layers to them and add them to your drawing. So, I hope this was very informative, guys, for you. And I hope you learned something today. And I hope to see you soon on my next video. Bye for now.